Welcome to StarWatch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next.
In a world where public figures are often seen through carefully polished images, there are moments when the camera quietly reveals something far more compelling beneath the surface. Today, we step into the world of Wang Yibo, guided by director Fu Dongyu's behind-the-scenes perspective, where the contrast between screen presence and real-life behavior becomes unexpectedly striking. What appears on camera is only one layer. What happens off-camera tells a far more human story. Stay with us, because what unfolds behind the spotlight may change the way you see dedication, discipline, and quiet strength. When director Fu Dongyu first observed Wang Yibo on the set of Being a Hero, the transformation was immediate and almost seamless, as if a switch had been flipped between reality and fiction. In front of the rolling camera, Wang Yibo was no longer simply a performer. He embodied a seasoned investigator, shaped by emotional weight and restraint. His posture carried discipline, his gaze held intensity, and every subtle movement seemed calculated, yet natural, as though he had stepped directly into the lived experience of the character. The atmosphere on set often shifted entirely when he entered performance mode, creating a silence that felt almost cinematic, even before the director called action. Yet, just as quickly as this energy was formed, it would dissolve at the sound of cut, revealing a completely different presence behind the role. What makes this contrast so compelling is not only the performance itself, but the way it coexists with an off-screen personality defined by simplicity and focus. Between takes, there is no exaggerated distance from the working environment, no visible separation from the crew or the process of filmmaking. Instead, there is a quiet engagement with every detail surrounding him. In moments when others might retreat into comfort or distraction, he often remains close to the set, observing the playback with concentrated attention, studying the rhythm of his own expressions and the timing of each scene. This is not the behavior of someone merely completing a role, but of someone deeply invested in understanding the mechanics of storytelling itself. There is also a noticeable absence of the usual layers of celebrity separation. On many productions, leading figures are often surrounded by assistants and a structured buffer of support. Yet what stands out here is a more grounded approach, adjusting costume details personally, managing small practical matters without drawing attention, and maintaining a sense of self-sufficiency all contribute to an impression of quiet discipline. These are not actions designed for attention, rather, they reflect a working rhythm that prioritizes focus over presentation. In an environment where visibility is constant, choosing simplicity becomes a subtle but powerful statement. Equally revealing is the way he interacts with the technical side of filmmaking. Rather than treating the camera as a distant observer, there is curiosity about its function, its placement, and the logic behind each visual decision. Conversations with crew members often extend beyond casual exchange, touching on lighting angles, framing choices, and the technical reasoning behind specific setups. This suggests a mindset that does not limit itself to performance alone, but extends into understanding the craft as a whole. In doing so, the boundary between actor and filmmaker becomes less rigid, replaced instead by a continuous process of learning. Outside of performance and production discussion, moments of stillness reveal another dimension of character. During breaks, while the environment around the set becomes more relaxed and conversational, there are times when he chooses quieter space, focusing on a simple meal and resting without unnecessary display. These ordinary moments, far from diminishing his presence, actually reinforce a sense of authenticity. They present an image of someone who does not rely on external validation to define comfort or success, but instead maintains a personal balance within the intensity of production life. What also emerges through Fu Dongyu's observations is a pattern of discipline that is less about rigidity and more about consistency, repetition of difficult scenes, willingness to refine small details, and openness to re-evaluating performance choices all point towards a working method grounded in patience rather than haste. In demanding filming environments, particularly those involving physical and emotional intensity, such persistence becomes a defining factor in the final result. It is not about dramatic gestures of effort, but about sustained attention to improvement, even when no one is explicitly watching. Beyond the set, Wang Yibo's broader creative journey adds further depth to this contrast. His involvement in documentary-style projects focused on exploration and nature introduces a different kind of narrative entirely, one where real environments replace constructed sets, and authenticity is measured through endurance and experience. These works have drawn attention not only for their visual storytelling, but also for the willingness to step outside comfort zones. The recognition received by such projects in international spaces reflects a growing appreciation for content that blends artistic ambition with personal challenge. What ties these different aspects together is not a constructed image of perfection, but rather a consistent thread of engagement. Whether in fictional roles, documentary participation, or behind-the-scenes interaction, there is a recurring emphasis on presence, attention, and steady effort. This creates a layered public perception, one where the distinction between character and individual becomes a subject of curiosity rather than assumption. The contrast highlighted by Fu Dongyu does not suggest contradiction, but rather coexistence of two working modes, performance and reality, both driven by the same underlying discipline. It is this duality that captures audience interest so strongly. Viewers are not simply watching a performer excel on screen. They are also invited to observe the quieter processes that support that excellence. The fascination lies in the in-between spaces, where preparation meets execution, and where public image meets private routine. In these spaces, the idea of celebrity becomes less about distance and more about process. As this perspective continues to circulate, it naturally influences how audiences engage with the work itself. Performances are no longer viewed in isolation, but as part of a broader continuum of effort and intention. This encourages a deeper appreciation of the craft, while also reshaping expectations of what it means to be a modern performer in a highly visible industry. The result is a narrative that extends beyond a single production, reaching into discussions about professionalism, identity, and creative dedication. In the end, what director Fu Dongyu's reflections reveal is not a simple contrast, but a dynamic balance. On one side, there is the constructed world of storytelling, where characters are brought to life with precision and emotional control. On the other, there is the grounded reality of continuous learning, observation, and personal discipline. Together, they form a portrait that is less about contradiction and more about integration, where each side strengthens the other in subtle but meaningful ways. If you enjoyed this insight into the world behind the screen and wish to explore more stories that uncover the human side of entertainment and performance, consider subscribing to StarWatch Now. Thank you for watching, and stay with us for more journeys into the stories that shape the stars we see.